told me that trying to earn God's grace and salvation would simply wear me out. And just like Jonah, I thought I knew better. Hello everyone, I'm Monica Kincaid. Welcome back to The Thought for Today, where we find encouragement, we build on our faith, and we stand strong in the authoritative Word of God. And today we are kicking off a brand new thing, God, my salvation. Because whether you've been running like Jonah or you are exhausted like me, trying to do it all on your own, y'all, God's salvation is the only way. In my book, Undefeated, I get really honest about something I struggled with for a long time. Y'all, God's way versus my way. And that's exactly where Jonah was. He knew God, he was called by God, but when God gave him an assignment, y'all, he didn't like it, so he ran because he didn't want to do things God's way. And doesn't that sound just like us? Well, in chapter 1, God tells Jonah to preach in Nineveh. Jonah, of course, disobeys and flees by a ship. God sends a storm, and Jonah is thrown overboard and swallowed by a great fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah's problem with the people of Nineveh was simple. Y'all, they were his enemies, and he didn't think that they deserved God's mercy. He was stiff-necked, and he believed that they needed to get what was coming to them. And does this sound familiar? Y'all, we withhold grace and mercy from people who hurt us or make us mad, but I thank God that he is not like us. Rock bottom has a way of silencing everything except the voice of God. Maybe it wasn't the belly of a fish for you. Maybe it was the belly of depression, a bad marriage, financial ruin, or a mistake that you just couldn't take back. That's exactly where Jonah was in chapter 2. He had run from God, and now he's crying out to the only one who could save him. And in verse 9, he finally gets it, y'all. He says, salvation is from the Lord, not from my good deeds, not from his efforts, not thinking that he can do things his way. It took swimming in the depths of a fish's belly for Jonah to surrender and acknowledge that salvation belongs to God alone. And sometimes God has to put us in our own dark place before we stop doing it our way, release control, and cry out to him. And right there, in Jonah's darkest moment, God gives us 3 lessons that we can't afford to miss. You can run, but you can't hide. Some of us have been avoiding what God is telling us to do because it makes us uncomfortable. And y'all, I'm doing it right now with these videos. I am so out of my comfort zone. But God's purpose will always catch up with you. Just like Paul, he spent years running in the wrong direction, persecuting the very people that God would use him to minister to. But God stopped him, y'all, dead in his tracks on the road to Damascus and redirected his whole entire life. And you cannot outrun the God of your salvation. He will pursue you, he will redirect you, and he will position you exactly where he needs for you to be. Your worst moment is God's greatest opportunity. Have you ever, y'all, made a decision so bad, so horrible, that you thought God was finished with you? Well, Jonah was surrounded by darkness and seaweed and the stench of just failure. But that's exactly where God met him. Jonah had to come face to face with the truth of Ephesians chapter 2, 8 and 9, that says that we are saved by grace through faith, not of works. Jonah couldn't work his way out. Grace pulled him out. And the same grace is available to each of us right now. Surrender is not weakness. It's the victory. Y'all, we live in a world and a culture that tells us to never give up and never back down and always fight. But there are some battles that were never yours to fight in the first place. Jonah had to learn that his way led him down to the bottom of the ocean, exhausted and alone and out of options. It wasn't until he completely surrendered and declared in Jonah 2 and 9, salvation is from the Lord. Then God commanded the fish to release him. Surrender wasn't Jonah's defeat. It was actually his breakthrough, his way back to obedience. deliverance. And at that moment that we stop trying, y'all, to do things our way, we surrender to the God of our salvation, y'all, that's the moment that deliverance actually begins. Our encouraging takeaway is just this simple reminder. Salvation belongs to the Lord. It is exclusively His work. Rest in that. And let the God of your salvation, y'all, do what only He can do. Listen, I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Please like and share this video so somebody else can be blessed and be encouraged, and take this with you. Salvation is from the Lord. Rest in that. He's got you. Until next time.